The bottom of the deck is indicating the Seven of Water, which is, this has to do with options and choice and a difficulty making decisions. In some of the cups, you can see better what's going on in there. In others, it looks sort of mysterious. So you're not really sure maybe what your best options are. This does indicate also a need to stop procrastinating with somebody, or with some situation. Procrastination, however, if you're not sure what you're doing or where you're going, it can be very, very difficult to take steps. If I don't know where I'm driving, I don't just get in the car and go. Usually I pick out on the map where I want to go, and then I figure out my best route to getting there. So it can be complicated. For some of you, it may be you want to sit down, pad, pen, or laptop or notebook or whatever your list making tool is. Write a list of some different things. Write a list of some different options, rate them, how important that seems to you, that sort of thing, to see if you can't by chance procrastinate. Unfortunately, sometimes when we're making important decisions, it's not so much about what is our best option, but what is our least awful option. For some reason, I'm thinking of the election cycle, but any typical year. But you get the idea, right? See if you can't identify what it is that you want by just taking notes. You don't have to commit just because you put it on paper or because you type it into your phone. See if you can't come about it that way, and maybe that'll help you narrow it down so that you can make your best option. Okay. Now, the basically what's going on, like in your general energy right now, is this idea of too much going on at once, the need to make a decision and consider a more playful approach. Two of Earth, again, has to do with choice making, juggling a lot of things at once, but choice making, decision between two things. The Seven of Cups would say, yeah, well, it's even more than that. It's about 7 or more things that you're trying to do. So figure out what's the most important. Is there a timeline that you're operating within? Sometimes that can help you identify what the immediate priorities are versus those that are not. It's difficult sometimes when you're feeling overwhelmed not to lose your sense of humor. But that's one thing about Capricorns. They tend to be wicked funny. I mean, like freaking hilarious. So see if you can't tap into that sense of joy. Maybe it's time to just kind of put things down for a little bit and say, hey, I'm just going to enjoy myself. It's the weekend or whatever. And then say, I'm going to return to this Monday morning at 8, or whatever works for you in your schedule, right? But doing something like that, it might help you to stay organized and to stay grounded. And that's another thing. When we're dealing with complex decisions, we're not sure which way we want to turn. We've got too many choices. It can be very, very helpful to go for a long walk in nature. To replant something that's overgrown in its pot, get yourself back into that grounding space. Do a mindfulness exercise, or soak your feet in Epsom salt and water, something like that can kind of return you into that place, right? So that you can see your options. Don't put off decision making too darn long, because that other card, the Seven of Cups, was warning about stop procrastinating. So if it's been going on for too long, it may mean, again, you just kind of have to make the choice of what's the least offensive option moving forward. This kind of illuminates a little bit of the confusion. This wheel card. Things are happening, changes are occurring, and you may not know which way to go about it. But the wheel is turning in your favor. So if you have been feeling stuck, this is going to move forward. This may mean that you've got something that's coming in, some new piece of information. Somebody says something or does something, an option, a door opens. You receive some kind of an information of a sort. It's divinely inspired, right? 10 is completion in other levels. Like in the minor arcana, this is a major arcana card, meaning this is about your spiritual journey. It's also a 1, but it's kind of an octave higher than your entry level 1. I want to call it that. I don't know why. But this does indicate that spirit is helping. Something behind the scenes that's completely out of your control is going to influence you, and it's also going to unstuck you, because now you're going to know what to do, because you're going to have this information coming in. And it will be helpful information. So don't worry, you will be getting through this very quickly. What is on your mind is about, well, defending your beliefs and decisions, standing your grounds, and choosing your battles wisely. Right? Seven of Fire is a card of passion, but it can be about fighting battles and kind of putting yourself out there. This may be in part why there's kind of a tiredness that I'm feeling from some of you right now. As your wheel of the year is closing, which it is because we're coming up on your Capricorn birthdays, or coming up later on in the month of December, just really in a week or less, choose your battles. Because if you're putting energy into things you cannot control, and remember, the only things that you can control are what you think, say, and do. You cannot control the world at large outside your door. Even emotions didn't make that list, right? Because, things upset us, but it's kind of how we respond to that, what lessons we learn from that, how we behave and what we say, what we do, how we think about our situation. That's really the only power we have in a world that's so large and so out of our control. So be careful that you're not putting burdens onto yourself that are unnecessary for you, and tap into that sense of humor. If you feel like you've been getting kind of, I want to say defensive, this really is a card of defense. Defense and people be almost like attacking. That may be kind of your mindset right now, because this is the location of this card even, is what's on your mind. Right, is feeling defensive. The Two of Earth back here reminded you to consider that more playful approach. It may not be that serious, right? The world was broken before you were born. It's going to continue to be broken long after you've left the planet. And that's unfortunate. But, again, there may be little small steps that you can do that will make a overall big difference, in that. Just be careful not to get weighted down by the things that are beyond your control. The Empress card here. Empress is about fertility and manifestation, abundance, right? It's also about nurturing yourself, right? Self-care. Be very careful with all that's on your plate and as overburdened and taxed as you're feeling. And you may be feeling a little burnt out right now. It's time to tap into this Empress energy. So if you have somebody in your life, potentially a Virgo or a Libra, because Empress is associated with the Venus, with the planet Venus. And we do see Venus right now in the sky. If you look, let's see, when I was in Phoenix, I looked kind of to the south, not long after dark, and I could see her bright. Above the horizon. But so she's kind of maybe going to be like in the southern sky, not very, very high, but you can see that planet. Anyway, I digress. The point is, be careful that you're nurturing to yourself, that if you need space from it, turn off the news, turn off the blah, blah. If the social media is blowing up, if your family's making all kinds of crazy demands, if about the holidays and about your birthday and about every other thing. Just, you have the right to spend that time any kind of way you want. If that's in solitude or with your home group, your number one, number two, number three people, then by all means, you do what you need to do to recharge your batteries, right? Recharge your batteries. I'm noticing very strongly this deer over here, and it is a buck, which is a male deer. Deer really teaches us about gentleness. It's a gentle teacher. There was an Arthurian legend in which one of the knights, I forget which one, followed a white hart, H-A-R-T, which is a deer, off into the forest, into a new adventure. It's kind of like the white rabbit of Alice in Wonderland, leading this knight into a new adventure. And that's kind of where you're at. This wheel here that's turning, new information coming in. It's going to be leading you into some kind of new direction that if you take the right steps, if you take the right care, it can replenish you. You may hear my dog barking. She's going nuts right now. My roommate likes to put the dog outside when I'm doing readings, just so she'll bark in the background. I don't know. It's this thing that happens every time. All right. In the recent past, Knight of Water. Knight of Water, for some of you, you've been falling in love. You've been meeting somebody special. For others of you, if you are in a relationship, this can be about finding love for something and putting energy into that. For example, developing a new passion, something that you really care deeply about, something that gives you emotional and spiritual fulfillment and contentment. And that could be why, if you've had your 9 to 5 and then you've also been starting this other thing up, this new project, this new passion pursuit, this new relationship, whatever, that could be why you're tired, and feeling overwhelmed, because you've got so much going on that you've forgotten to take a little bit of time out to rest and to have some self-care. Then again, some of you, it could be that you've been falling in love with this Empress person. And this Empress really does indicate the sort of person who, it's kind of like the queen of all the other suits combined. Like she balances her elements. She's balanced materially, meaning that she can take care of her earthly business. Like she's got a job, money, pays the bills, whatever. She can manage that part. She understands her emotions and her spirituality, and is also intellectual and logical at the same time. It kind of balances those different polarities within the individual. For others of you, it's the Empress energy is more the energy that you need to take on to be able to get through your trials right now. So this is one of those cases where I'm getting more than one storyline in here, and this is going to be taken as it resonates. New love or self-care, whatever that means. In the future, in the recent future, the Lover's card. So again, tapping into the love storyline. Somebody new came into your life, this Empress person who seems to be the person that, she's kind of got it all. Lovers is about that sense of balance. For some of you, this person could be a Virgo or Libra because of the Empress card. For others of you, could be the Gemini, because the Lovers is the card of the Gemini. It really is about the balance between those kind of polar opposite energies, masculine, feminine, yin, yang. But this is somebody that comes in and balances you. Right? You find a balance there. They understand you. You're a match. You're equals in this relationship. This can also indicate health. Archangel Raphael's about health, intimate relationships, and travel. There's a story behind that, but I don't want to get into that right now. But the idea is finding a sense of balance. For some of you, this is about making a head or heart decision, and that could tie back with this Two of Earth here. The head or heart decision that you're struggling to make and weighing it out. Do you have the patience? Do you have the confidence or the faith to understand that there are divine mechanisms going on behind the scenes that will help you manifest this, even if it seems like a waiting game for some of you? Sometimes when we follow our heart, we fear it because we think that it's not going to work out to our best interest, not realizing that sometimes by taking that divine leap of faith, that's when we have it all. Right? For others, the other storyline that's coming through here is this idea that somebody has met somebody, this Empress type, and they're falling in love, and that person creates a balance within you. But definitely there's been some worrying. This card represents you, expecting the worst, self-fulfilling prophecies and sleepless nights. What are you worried about? What are you worried about? I think that some of you are overthinking. There's a lot of options, a lot of choices, a lot of ways you could go about doing this. What's the worst if you try something and then it doesn't pan out and you don't do it anymore? So what? At least you tried, and you'll know that you tried. And there's credit to be had in that. Sleepless nights because of rumination, worrying. There's a sense too of following your star. For some of you, that could be Aquarius. Those of you that are in the romantic situation with the new person. But for others of you that are struggling to make that decision, you're looking at this like, if you have the faith, follow your star. You will be led to the right thing, to the right decision. It will happen for you. But we have to surrender that control. When we try to control things too tightly, we go nuts. I don't mean, I don't mean DSM-5 stuff. I just mean like, we add burden to our emotional and intellectual life that doesn't have to be there. It's completely self-inflicted. It's tough. You know what? I struggle with anxiety. I get it. I can overthink everything just because. It's a discipline of mind to learn how not to do that. Now, traumatic anxiety is a different thing. That's a medical issue, and you would need to see your doctor, your therapist, etc. for that. But I'm talking about, people having everyday human being issues and problems. Trust. The star can also indicate Aquarius. So for some of you, this lover might be an Aquarius. The Knight of Water, that could be Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. So we're seeing that. Hopes and fears is about making it work through lots of hard work, dedication. Rewards, reaping rewards for skilled work. Mastery of it. You know what you're doing at this point. Now, this can indicate going back to school, but for a lot of people, it's that you've already gone that route. And now you're working. You're just trying to focus on your job right now, trying to get through some stuff. But be careful that you're balancing your work and your play. Because all work and no play makes Jill a dull girl, something like that. Makes Jack a dull boy. You want to be very careful that you allow yourself some space and time. We can't receive downloads sometimes. If we're overly exhausted, we're overly thinking, it's really hard to hear our gut intuition coming through. And then Queen of Water. Queen of Water, again, Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. We've seen the Knight in your recent past and the Queen in your future. This could be about the development of a relationship. Like you've started dating and now it's getting more serious. It's going to the next level. You're falling in love with somebody. This can also indicate trusting your intuition. Take some time off, right? For those of you that are overly stressed out, take some time off and really do your meditation. Go for a walk. Do some grounding exercises to help you get into your feet and worry less. When we're anxious, we're in the upper half of our body, right? Our wheels are spinning in our mind, and it's almost like we don't even notice what's going on in our physical body. We don't even notice our feet. A lot of times we need to shift that energy from mental and emotional, from heart chakra on up. We need to shift it back down into our feet and our legs, our first, second, and third chakras, right? Those are our life force drives, our creativity and our power to get things done. We need to be in our first three chakras too, a lot more often than we are. We get flaky. We get way up here in the anxiety zones. And then we don't get anything done. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about because I live this. Life is an ongoing struggle to balance the crazy. It really is. Next, I'm pulling oracle cards as well for each of the people that I'm doing, or each of the groups I'm doing readings for. These are Healing with the Angel oracle cards, and I was shuffling just to, to kind of. I like to shuffle before I start rolling. I want to say rolling tape. That's such an ancient expression. But before I start recording, and this one leapt out. So, I just stopped at that moment. When I get a jumper, I'm going with it. This card is forgiveness. Let go of anger and resentment and feel yourself healed. You don't need to forgive the action, just the person, so that you can be at peace. By drawing this card, your angels guide you to release anger and irritation. They realize that you may be perfectly justified in feeling angry, yet they ask you to look at the high price you pay for being the vessel of anger. Forgiveness does not mean what you did is okay to me. It simply means I am no longer willing to carry around pain in response to your actions. When we hold unforgiveness in our hearts, we only punish ourselves after all. Your angels will help you release unforgiveness if you will just ask for their assistance. Very important, right? This has to do with choosing battles. When you get yourself into warrior garb, it's really hard to let your guard down and just be in the moment. Because we're in yesterday and what happened to us, what transgressions happened to us. Or we're in the future and we're thinking worrisome thoughts about what may happen next time. And if I see her again, if I see him again, we live in that space. That's exhausting. It's exhausting. This Two of Earth indicates the need for more playful approach. It's hard to feel playful when you're not in a place of forgiveness. Again, it's not about making the behavior okay. It's about not having to carry around somebody else's wrongdoing. It's saying, I respect and love myself enough that I don't have to live in that, right? Resentment. Resentment is something that it's like we attach a cord to somebody else and then we can't get rid of them. They're living rent free in our headspace. It's sick stuff. It's natural though. It's natural when we've been wronged. We want to know, but that doesn't mean you have to trust that person again or let them into your home or into your life. You don't have to do that. No, you're perfectly in your rights to say, I'm not going to have it, and I'm cutting you out of my life because you're toxic for me. And you don't have to apologize for that. But you don't need to carry around what they did either. You don't need to carry around the resulting hurt or pain that comes with that. So do expect something's going to happen to help you make some decisions. Some information or something